evening everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Hot Picks. I hope you're all well. We're going to get straight into it today, as these Hot Picks episodes are designed to get straight into the market, look at a specific 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 pairs, break them down, look at what we expect on those pairs over the next few days or over the coming week, and basically just concentrate and home in on those few pairs rather than having a full look at the market like our market breakdowns. What we're aiming to do here is, as I said, get down into the detail on a specific few pairs, and so we can get a nice and short sweet video out to you guys, and then which will also allow us to update these videos during the week with either an update of the pairs I'm going to show you today, or perhaps some new hot picks that we see and some trades that we see available for you guys. So getting straight into it, and what we can see in front of us here, as you guys who've been following us a few weeks, few months, or maybe in a few years, you know I always start with the dollar index first to give me an understanding of what the US dollar is going to do over the next few days or the coming week. Now in front of me here, hopefully some of you guys watching would have seen our live last week, the live last Sunday, and what I explained was obviously we've seen a very bearish week for the US dollar the previous week, so 2 weeks ago, but very bearish week. And as explained, some simple things, some simple gems we went over on that live was the trend is your friend. And remember, this has been selling off the US dollar, so rather than looking for a complete reversal too early, remember that the US dollar was going to pull back to this level, and from here we could potentially look at this continuing to the downside, and that's what we're going to look at today. So far we can see that last week the US dollar done exactly as we explained and as what we thought out. Price was here on the live session that we done last Sunday. Price pulled back into our highlighted region, where you can see here is prior support, prior resistance. Just pulled it through support, resistance, resistance, resistance. So price has to come back here and test this. This was the first point of call, the first test that the US dollar's having to see whether the bulls really have enough strength, or if they're really able to start pushing up and the US dollar to start pushing higher. So that means US dollar strength across the board. Now we've come to this region and we're starting to slow down already. We're consolidating. We updated this on our IG during the week. We're consolidating this region, and it looks like at the moment we can see this push down. Now, probability trading is about a game of probability, and as I said, at the moment we can see that the trend is to the downside on the US dollar. If we just go to the daily chart, let me get rid of that. Go to the daily chart. Just overall, we can see the US dollar since March has been on a downtrend, as you can see here. So going with that on the daily time frame, the 4-hour time frame, and even a 1-hour time frame, really, the US dollar is weak. It is bearish, and at the moment we can see here we've had a push down in the prior week. We've made a pullback, so we've made a lower low. We're coming back. We're making a lower high, and then what we can expect is this to push down and make a lower low. Now, one thing I want to teach you guys, I said sometimes with these videos there's a lot of education in them. Sometimes there's not always trades that we can give. There's a few trade setups that I can see today, but education is key. And what we need to explain, guys, is last week on the live I mentioned that there's cycles in the market. There's certain cycles in the market. There's times when the market's trending, which we normally see for about 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, but then it will get to a point where the market's going to change. So it's a make or break week when the market's either deciding whether it's going to make a change in trend and we will start seeing reversals, or whether it's going to be continuation. Last week was that point where we're trying to see whether the market's actually going to start turning. And one of the key things that we can understand that the market may be about to make a change and a trend reversal is because there's been a lot of fundamentals recently, and the market needs fundamentals in order to make the market or the trend reverse and go into a new trend. Now, what we are seeing this week is we need to confirm those trend changes, and what I mean by that is at the moment, hopefully you guys follow me so far, is that we've had this push down, we're seeing this pullback, we've seen this first test, so now we're at that point when we're making a lower high, and as I said, we can expect this to come down and potentially make a new lower low. Now, if we are going to see a trend change, what the price is going to do is going to come down here, and it has to retest this level, and it has to be tested we have to test these regions, and if they hold as support and then we move back up and come up and make a new higher high, so as you can see here on this new trend, higher high, higher low, and a higher high, then we can see that the next few weeks and the next month potentially we're going to see a new trend start. So this week is very, very vital, and I just want to explain that first because the next couple of trades I want to show you is going to be very, very dependent on this sort of region. So just put it quite simply, what you can imagine is the price is going to pull back into sort of the 61-78% region on the dollar index. If this doesn't hold, then what we're going to see is this continuation. So like I mentioned on the live last week, this short here, this was the smart trade, taking the shorting the US dollar across the board. That was the smart trade because you're going with the trend and you're going with the overall direction of the US dollar. So here I'm expecting this, as I explained, short the dollar, long on Euro USD, which I'm going to get to in a minute. So for those holding those long trades, I'm expecting the US dollar to weaken at the start of the week, and it's going to come down to these regions. So if I just remove this highlighted region that I've shown you here, the first point of call that I'm going to be watching out for is this level here to get taken out. We're going to take this level out, basically. We're going to take this out. But then from here, this is the important area over the next few days. This is where I'll be watching price and see whether the US dollar absolutely collapses and the US dollar just weakens and keeps pushing down lower, or whether we are going to have that first test of this new trend, and if we can find some support here, then we could see a very, very big swing trade coming on the US dollar. So that's the dollar index. That shows me what I'm expecting. I'll just quickly go to the daily. As I said, if we break this, if we fail to find any support in this region here, we're going to come down, take out this low, and we're going to take out this low. Now let me just quickly flip Let me quickly flip to Euro US dollar. I was going to bring up the chart that we've done on the live session last week. So on the live session, I explained price was trading at this level here. You can see that was a little bit of a market gap, which we expected a little bit more on market open, but the market was fairly quiet when it opened. And I highlighted this region and said price will nudge up higher, tap into this region first before seeing a sell-off. Now what we can see here is, as explained on Monday, this was Monday in the market, price will make a false move up into our highlighted region before the sell-off. Monday is always full of manipulation. So I said price was trading here, drew out this highlighted region, hasn't moved since. And you can see price came up, tapped, and lots of you took their short trade and see it push down into this region, which I also had drawn out. So from here to here was a straight 100, 120 pip move within about 4 or 5 hours. Now, what I was explaining last Sunday is I can expect at the moment the US dollar is weak. We can see here, vice versa with the dollar index. I just showed you that we've had a strong move up, which means a weak US dollar and a strong euro. Let me just quick go back to the US dollar index, go to the 4 hour. You can see here how this does the opposite of the Euro USD. We've had a strong push down. Here, Euro US dollar, we've had a strong push up. So the bulls are in control. We're having a correction, we're pulling back down, and then we're likely to move back up to the upside. So what I'm looking at for this week is, at the moment, we have taken out that high. We fulfilled this short trade, and now we're in a long trade pushing back up. Originally, I was looking at price coming back up to take out this high, but with the situation, as I said, with the US dollar at the moment, where we're going to be watching around these regions for a potential reversal, I'm going to be watching these areas closely on Euro USD coming this week. So we're going to just remove this and just quickly run over one thing I've been teaching you guys on these videos about entry. Is we know that when price pushes down, price will never move away straight away. It will never just touch a point and move away. It will retest it twice or 3 times. Here, support, fake support here. What happens? People put their stop losses where? They put it here, price comes down, takes out these stop losses, or they put it below this low. Price comes out, takes out those stop losses, and then starts to make a move to the upside. So at the moment, we can see that price is trying to push up. And I'm just going to flip back to my other chart on the lower time frame, just a bit cleaner. This is what I'm expecting. Similar to how the US dollar will take out this low here. It will take out this low at the start of the week. If it is going to make this move to the upside, it needs to come out and take out this low. It needs to take out this liquidation to be able to push up higher. With the US dollar, Euro-US dollar, it's the opposite. We are going to take out this high here. We're going to push up into this region. But as I said, at the moment, we're currently long and looking for trades up. Well, we're pushing up at the moment. And price could come up into this region. But we do have a good chance of coming up and taking out this high also. At the moment, with the Euro-US dollar, as I said, with the US dollar in general, it's make or break. If I just zoom out here on a daily chart, because I'm going to give you some tips here, guys, today, which are kind of short term, medium, and long term. So here we can see we've been very, very bullish with Euro-US dollar for a long, long time. We've had a push up. You can see here bullish trend to the upside, and then once we've had that bullish trend, price is having a bit of a breather. It's taken a rest. It's been consolidating for a while. Now we need to decide where it's going to go next. We could potentially be looking for a short to the downside, but at the moment we are currently long. I will be, however, watching price once it breaks out this level here, because there is an opportunity that things may just take another turn before the overall move. So what I'm looking out for this week is I'm looking to break out this level. Keep in touch because I will be updating, but from these levels here, we could be looking for a push back down. Like I said, we could even potentially just take out this high here. We could look for a push back down before we then see a bigger push up higher. Remember, the market has patience, more patience than most retail traders, and we have to understand there can be a few more moves in the market, and it's not just plain sailing all the time where it's just a simple move. We could be looking for a sell-off here before looking at a move back up. However, we are currently long, and we could be pushing up. I said here we might just push up, take out this level, but it all depends on the US dollar. So keep a good close eye on this dollar index chart this week. We push down here, which we know 90% chance we're going to do. We're very close to it now anyway. We're going to take out this low, but it all depends on what happens then. If price keeps pushing down lower and starts taking out these lows, then we know there's a good chance of continuation, and that means that Euro-USD can still keep pushing up to the upside and start taking out these highs. If I just quickly go to my overall daily chart, let's move this out the way. This is where we've tapped 1.200, potential new trend starting lower low, lower high, lower low. We are just moving sideways, so we are in a consolidation zone with the US dollar, which means we could just potentially see this play around a little bit more. But I do think that there is potential chance here for a sell-off from around these regions, which I am going to be watching out for. We could potentially hedge the long trade that we've had up here, but I will be watching out for this, and please keep updated on our IG because I will be looking out for a potential short here to come back down. Bulls are in control. That's why this was the clever trade. As I said, we've had a push up to the upside. We just had a pull back down. We've hit the 50% retracement. We could push on higher, take out this high and come up to the upside. So that's why we are long at the moment. We are currently long, but there is potential here to be looking at a short trade here to push back down in line with what might happen here with the US dollar. So I'll be updating on that. Now, if I go to Gbp USD, let me just try and clean up this chart a little bit for you guys. So Gbp USD, I will be running over this, guys. I think you may have seen that we are going to be doing a free course on this YouTube channel, from the very basic through to advanced techniques. So I'm going to be showing you and explaining all of this top-down analysis and where these levels come from. But one thing I just want to show you guys quickly is I've shown you a few times over the past few weeks how we can understand trend changes, and here we can see back in March when price came down and took out this low, and Gbp USD came to all-time lows. It's never been this low. This is where I was explaining to my community at the time, is where you want to be looking at taking longs, because everyone's been flushed out of the market, and now we're going to be looking at taking longs. My target at this point, when we were at all-time lows, seemed very crazy. Pull it out there. I called 1.3500 to be hit over the next couple of months. And I said, I have that video saved explaining that we had to come up here and basically try and take out this high here once we come down and taken out this low. Over the course of the next few months, that's what we've done. We actually came to 1.3400, sorry, 1.3480, which is 20 pips away from my call. But we did make that high there, and now we've sort of ended that trend, that long bullish trend that we had, made a high, and now we've been sort of just moving. Let me go. Sorry guys, I've just messed that up using that by accident. Yeah, we've ended that trend, and now we've been pushing back down, and it looks like we may be ready for another leg down and creating a new trend here. If we just go here on the daily or weekly time frame, we can see we've come back up. We've had a retracement down, we've had a long retracement back up, hit the 61.8%, had a little push off, but we came back up and tapped that 78.6% retracement perfectly. You can see that rejection there. We've had a big sell off, and now it looks like GBP USD could be potentially looking for a push back down. That's on the daily time frame. Let me just quickly go to sorry, that was on the weekly time frame. Let me go to the daily time frame. So as it showed you here, we've had a pullback into 78.6%. I'm going to make another sort of bold call here, as I've got some long-term views on these pairs as well. As I am expecting GBP USD to come down before pushing up higher. I'm expecting GBP USD to come all the way back down to potentially 1.26 over the coming weeks or months. Big call from where we are. You can see where we're at. We're looking at about 500 pips. 540 pips. So at the moment, let me just go down to my lower time frame chart once again. Lower time frame, this is going into the shorter time frames, 4 hour. What I'm looking at here at the moment, guys, is we are potentially, like what I said on the US dollar, we are potentially at that point where we could be having a trend change. But we are at that point. I showed you on the US dollar. That's why I started with that, so you could understand the terminology and what we're looking at and what we're thinking across so many different US dollar pairs. Is that we're going to push up here, just like Euro USD. Euro USD is going to take out this high, come up into this region. GBP USD, we're going to come up and take out 1.3230. We're going to come up and take out that level, and then we could potentially be looking at taking a short trade. Here, I want to see some resistance, obviously, up into this region. We couple this up with a Fibonacci retracement as well. You can see here 61, potentially 78% retracement level here that we could reject. This region is going to be a very important region for this pair. If we find resistance here, then I think we can be looking at a very nice short trade and a nice swing trade that we could be holding for hundreds and hundreds of pips. So I'm going to be looking out for that this week. So I do see short-term bullishness with the pound, GBP USD. I see some upside potential at the start of the week to come up into this region. Depending on the US dollar, we could potentially push higher. So I would be looking at if we pull back, if GBP USD pulled back, let's say into this region here, 1.3150, I would be looking at potential long trades back up into this region, because we are overall, as I said, the smart trade is to the upside. We can see here overall that, just look at this on the 4 hour, we can see that we are bullish. High highs, high lows, high highs, high lows, high highs, high lows, etc., etc. But we are at this key point. So at the moment, the clever trade, the smart trade is going with the trend and buying and going long. And selling the US dollar. As I said at the very start with the US dollar index, selling the US dollar. Lots of you are short on the US dollar since last week with the analysis that I gave, as I said, just as a reminder, with this highlighted region here. And with that long trade that I gave out on Euro USD when it came down into this region. So we're currently selling the US dollar. So with GBP USD, as I said, I do at the moment, the smart trade is a long because you're short on the US dollar. But if we are at this make or break, if we are at this point where the trend is going to change and we do see strength in the US dollar, if this does come this week and we see we see the price come down, take out these lows here early in the week, and we come down into this region, we could even potentially just pop down a little bit lower and maybe take out these lows, which is another thing just to keep in mind, guys. We might just try and take out this low here for a bit of liquidation to push up higher. But if this area does hold, then GBP USD, this level here, we could see a nice sell-off, as you can see here. As I said, that plays out with Euro USD as well. You can see here, that means showing pulling back up into sort of this region, but I do see price coming up and coming into that zone before anything else happens. So that's Euro USD, that's GBP USD, that's the dollar index, giving you an insight there. I'm going to cover GBP JPY as well, because this one interests me as well. Having looked at GBP USD, I'm looking at different GBP pairs. So quickly, last week's live session, I was hoping to see a pullback into this region here. Price was trading here on market open. I was hoping to see a pullback so I could get this long. Explained that GBP JPY was going to come out and take out 13740. Call that level out on the live, and I was more or less aiming to come and take out these daily highs here over at this region here. Price came up and done that very, very quickly. Unfortunately, on market open, we understood, because there were such big fundamentals over the weekend where the news came out about the election, that the market could potentially just take off straight away, and that's exactly what it did. Market took off here straight away as soon as the market opened, pushed up into my region, didn't give us a chance for a pullback before the overall long, and just took off and took out 13740, and then took out my daily highs over here as well. However, now looking into this week, what can we see? I'm just going to go from this chart into this chart here. Similar situation, and this is what interests me about GBP USD, because I see GBP JPY, the correlation between the two, and obviously the pound correlation GBP. My analysis matched up with each other, so that helps my confidence in my trade when trading one of these pairs, because there's the confidence between the two pairs. So here, what I'm expecting on GBP JPY is price to come up and take out this high here. At the moment, this high here is 138.51. I'm expecting price to push up into this region, and from here, dependent on pound strength, I'm going to be watching out for potential short trades on GBP JPY. I would ideally even look at taking a long trade. If we had a pullback on market open, who knows what the market open is going to bring us. If we had a pullback, let's say into sort of these regions, 13760, back into these lows, we could even tap into these lows to get that liquidation to go back up to the upside. We did tap into these areas and saw that, and saw obviously the correct price action. I'd be looking for a long trade back up, where I believe we can come up and take out 13850, and then from here, obviously by that time, we will update you either on IG or on a new Hot Picks episode. And from here, I do believe that we can see a potential change in this trend and see a sell-off on GBP JPY. So that's what I'm going to be watching out for. Pushing up into these regions, finding some resistance and looking for a sell-off. And I do believe that we can see a nice swing trade on GBP JPY as well. Pushing back down, coming down into these regions. You can see where price had been trading prior to this push up, back down into sort of 13650 and so on. So we could be in for a nice sort of 400 pip move back down to the downside. Let me just have a look here. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking out for on GBP JPY. And that's about it for the moment, guys. So GBP JPY and GBP USD are very, very interesting to me. I'm expecting pound short term, very short term, I'm expecting pound to push up higher on GBP JPY before potential sell-off. GBP USD, I'm looking for it to push up higher. If we get a little pullback, I will look at taking longs, because the smart trade is long. So I am expecting upside on GBP USD as well. Euro USD, I'm expecting some more upside, some more US dollar weakness, pushing up into this region before looking at taking a short trade. Here could be a nice little short trade down, even if it's just to come out and take out these lows here. So I'll be watching out for that, to keep a lookout for this region. But at all times, look at the dollar index and just keep a close eye on what's happening here. With the dollar index, this is the daily chart. We could potentially, if I just pull this across, you can see we could potentially be looking at left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then push up to the upside from here. So it's an interesting week. It's a very, very interesting week. As I said, it's that time of the market cycle where we will be looking at a potential trend change. And again, a little bit like what we said last week, it is make or break. It is make or break time. If this holds a support, then we can see a new trend continue or a new trend start. But if this doesn't hold, then we're just going to see the US dollar weak bearish trend continue, and we're going to see more downside on the US dollar, which means Euro USD going up to take out those highs and make new highs, as explained. One more quick one, Euro GBP. I was looking at Euro GBP potential. This helps my pound sort of bias as well. Like I showed you a minute ago, and I've showed you many times over the past few weeks, before starting a new trend, what will price do? It will take out the prior low. You can see here daily has taken out that prior low. It's had that bullish injection, taken out the liquidation. We've seen a big push up to the upside. We've got this morning star formation, 1, 2, 3 on a daily, looking for price to try and push back up. Now Euro GBP, you can see we could pull back down. Not surprised that we found resistance here at the 0.90 region, because if I go to my daily chart, again, top-down analysis, which we'll be showing you on our YouTube channel next week. As you can see here, weekly resistance. So we come back up, found resistance, and we're pulling back. Now again, this is in line with everything that I've been explaining. This could potentially be the start of a new trend. This could be the new low. So if this is the new low, there's a high chance of this at the moment, but because you've taken out that prior low, as I just showed you over here, you're taking out that low. If this is a new trend, obviously price has to make a retracement. Price moves in waves, goes higher high, higher low, and then a higher high if it's a new trend. So we can expect Euro GBP to push back down here, push back down potentially into sort of these regions before looking at a move back up to the upside. If this holds and then we see a move back up to the upside, that's going to be a weaker US dollar. But at the moment, I'm expecting this to push down, which means a strong pound sterling, and then once we see a push back up from here, means a weak pound. So therefore, similar, I'm expecting a push up and then a push down, Euro GBP push down and then a push up. But these are the areas that are going to be so important for the market, because it's either new trend starting or we're going to continue with the current trend and we're just going to see it continue pushing down. As you can see here, lower low, lower high, could be coming down to make a lower low. So these are very, very important. So the smart trade is going with the trend. So short here is a smart trade, long here is a smart trade, long here is a smart trade, and Euro USD, we're already long from last week. That is the smart trade. What we're going to be watching out for, we understand and we identify that there is potential short opportunities coming at the start of this week once we take out these highs, and we'll be looking out for that at the start of this week. So please keep in touch and keep up to date. And I'll just throw one more in, guys. It's just in front of me here. It just shows you how they're very, very, very similar, a lot of these US dollar pairs. Here is Aussie dollar, US dollar. Daily, you can see very, very, very bullish. Had a consolidation zone here for quite a while. Had a little bit of a correction, a little bit of a pullback. Just dropped down to the 4-hour time frame. But it's very, very bullish. But price, if we are going to see a pushback down, and we are going to see a bigger correction to come and take out these lows here, then we're going to see price Aussie dollar. We're going to see Aussie dollar push up into this region before seeing a sell-off and come back down. It needs to take out this high here. It needs to come up into this region here before seeing a sell-off. This week is going to be very, very important for the Aussie dollar because we've got quite a bit of news coming out. Let's quickly go to the economic calendar. Monday, we've got the Reserve Bank of Australia speaking. Then on Tuesday, we've got Australian dollar news. What else have we got? Aussie dollar news on Tuesday night in the UK time. Obviously, US dollar retail sales coming out Tuesday as well, which is going to affect Aussie dollar, US dollar, and all US dollar pairs. And then on Thursday, we also have employment and unemployment news coming out for the Aussie dollar as well, which is one of the most important data releases that can come from any country. So important week. keep up to date, guys. Keep up to date with our IG and our Twitter page. We will be keeping up to date with these the US dollar and these pairs. So as I said, speak to you soon. Those are the levels. This is what we see short term, medium term, and long term. So let's have a great week, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.